dads today, just to hear from dads, to hear from their heart. And so we have some dads that we'd like to introduce to you. And we were trying to make dads feel good about themselves, and I was trying to think of some ways, you know, because sometimes dad can get a bad rap. So I thought that when we introduced them, we could, you know, do something a little special for them. So I'm going to introduce the dads that we have today. And first dad I'd like to welcome is, he's been a dad for quite a while. And weighing in at 175 pounds, 6'3", full head of hair, Alfred Carter. You don't get introduced like that very often. So. That's good. Let's put the music down a little bit. Just keep it running there. We'll put it up when we introduce the next dad. And our next dad, coming in at 175 pounds. I'm just going to say everyone's 175 pounds because I'm too scared to guess. At 6'4", Justin Carter. Come on, champ. All right. Our next dad. It won't stay like that. You'll have to hold it. Next dad. It's going to bring us actually a really exciting announcement coming at, if these guys are 6'3", this guy's 7'3", 175 pounds, which might actually be true. Patrick Cormier. That took a weird turn. It's the music got him pumped up. He didn't know what to do with himself. So, yeah, we'll get to Pat's news later. Next, coming all the way from Saint Marie, weighing in at 175 pounds, 5'11", is Aaron. Nobody wants to sit beside me. I see how this is going to go. So your guys' mic's right there. And lastly, I had a hard time remembering who it was, so I asked. Yeah, right, thanks. He's like, coming in at 300 no, just kidding. Coming in at 185 pounds, 6'3", Christian LeBlanc. Well, there's one in every crowd, except for this crowd had two. Well, it's great to be here, so we're going to take some time just to hear from our dads. But first, Patrick, there'll be lots of people here that wouldn't know who you are, so you'll introduce yourself. Just give us a little. Everyone's going to get a chance to introduce themselves. So you go first. Introduce yourself. Say, you know, a little bit about yourself, the name of your children, and and some big news.
So my name is Patrick. I've been a father for all of 7 months today. And Michelle are upstairs. So we have been away from this church for almost 6 years now.
Boo.
Can you believe it's been that long? I couldn't believe it was that long until I saw Mylène, who's grown about 2 feet. Wow, it has been that long. But so my wife's an RCMP officer. We've been in Alberta for almost 3 years. Then moved to Ottawa for over 3 years now. And my wife just got a transfer to Moncton, New Brunswick. We're coming back. So in July, we've sold our house over there. We're coming back in mid-July, so we'll be here for good.
Amen. Now they put their house for sale and sold it in 12 minutes. Basically, that's what happened. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your name? You gotta turn it on. There you go.
Check.
Good. This is gonna be a long day.
Long day. You always mess up stuff, you know. My name is Chris Leblanc. I've not been going for 6 years. I've always been here. Yeah. I have 4 kids. Yeah. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, I'm alive still. My oldest is Logan Leblanc, then it's Lexi Leblanc, then it's Gracie Leblanc, and then Landon Leblanc. Don't ask me their birthdays, I'll forget it all. So,
But he has another announcement. No, just kidding.
I'm not having. I got.
Shh, that's okay. Let's move on.
Can't call him Houdini.
That's good. I knew where we were going. You, sir?
I'm Justin Carter, I also never left. I got 2 boys. I stopped at 2. After that, you're outnumbered, so cut the line right there.
Well, let's close in prayer.
It's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
My oldest is Owen, and my youngest is Easton.
That's your last time. Go ahead.
I'm Alfred Carter, and I have 3 children, Jennifer, Justin, and Jason. You want their age or no? I knew everybody.
This Justin?
This is Justin.
God bless you.
That's right, they all say that.
All right. So, over here. Calm down.
My name's Aaron. I've got 2 boys, Clem and Griffin, and I cut things off at 2 too.
So, I don't know who to ask anything to. Chris, tell us one time while being a dad. So you have 4 kids under
5. No twins.
no twins. So 4 kids under 5. So this would probably be an easy question for you. Tell us one time where you had to, as a dad, where you had to trust God. You're like, God, I need your help. And why don't you tell us about that?
Well, every day. No. I guess it takes a lot of patience that I don't have, and yeah. And I I ask God a lot of times to give me more patience because I want to show my kids kindness. So, which he's still working on me. I'm not perfect, but I think he's done a great job till now. They're still young. But yeah, I mean, God's been good to us. We have good children, so I can't complain. So, I work 24-hour shifts, so those days are long too. Like I don't see them for 24 hours. I used to work 2 jobs, so I didn't want to see them for 24 plus 10 hours. So I really needed to trust God to protect them. I wasn't around, so yeah.
Yeah. Men, as men, we're protectors. We want to protect. And it's hard when you're away or you're working or even just from day to day to just count on God to protect our families. And the good thing is I know Ronnie Lee, so if anyone breaks into that house. Alfred, why don't you tell us in one way that you've had to trust God? You've got grown kids now. They've all, you've raised them and they've all got kids of their own. But what's one way that you've had to really trust God?
There's, I had to trust God. It's a couple of times that I can recall that was stressful, not stressful, but like I was worried. One time I was siphoning gas from my truck, and Justin was watching me, and the next day he went with a straw and siphoned gas on the lawnmower, but he didn't siphon, he drank it all. So we had to spend the night in the hospital with him, and I had to trust God that it was going to be okay, but I knew he was okay during the night because all the gas was coming out. This adventures of life, huh? And one time with Jason, he had a spot on his chest there. He's out young, 3 or 4. And we brought to the hospital, and I went with him, and I had to basically give him to the doctor. I had to trust that, and I knew he was scared, So I trust God with that.
God has been so good to your family, Alfred. Amen. Aaron, what's one way that you've had to trust God?
I find a lot, like Chris said, I feel like there's weekly moments where I feel it takes everything I got. I think there's a lot of times that I just think there's no way I can materially or emotionally care for my family at this stage. I'm too tired I just don't have it in me, and that's when you really have to trust, because there's an instinct in me sometimes, and I know it happens to everybody else too, where you're just like, this is too crazy. Gotta get out of here somehow. And you're like, no. The Lord's gonna give me the strength to get through, and He has been faithful, and I hope He is tomorrow, but that's kind of how it works. I find.
Day by day. Amen. Amen. Patrick, you've been a dad for 7 months.
Yeah, I had 7 months of data to go back and think about.
Well, it should be easier for you.
My first thought when I heard this question was when Renelle was born. We were in Ottawa, so we have no family there, so it's just me and Michelle at the hospital. And when she came out, she didn't cry like a baby's supposed to. And so right away they took her and plugged her on a CPAP machine. And you've been a father for all of... This isn't really a medical emergency, it's something that they deal with all the time, but when you've been a father for 2 minutes and your daughter turns pale white, that's not fun. And I just remember they wheeled her out of the room and into a special care unit, and I'm following them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like just panic and scared. And I just stood there and prayed as the nurses were plugging her to different monitors and whatever, and stood there and prayed because that's all I could do. I just felt so helpless. I mean, I can't do anything, so Lord, she's in your hands. And in that moment, as I'm praying, God showed me right away that the nurses and doctors that were working on her were very calm and were very professional and knew exactly what they were doing. And so God gave me a sense of peace through it all, and just knowing that she was in good hands and that God was on top of all of that. So.
Justin, what do you think your greatest strength is as a dad? Now, TV shows are going to try to tell you that you don't have any because you're goofy. But what do you think is your best strength as a dad?
Probably the discipline. Consistency. How you say that? You get what I'm saying?
That was a lot of syllables.
Way too many.
That is probably the only 9-syllable word I've ever heard.
Won't ever hear it again.
Consistency. You're a consistent. No, I got mine.
Yeah, it's challenging. You need a lot of strength from everywhere. Thank God to him.
Yes.
We can, but as far as one, you can't really pick one out of them all because you kind of need them all.
That's good.
Because if there's one missing, well, it's not going well. Need him. So basically, you need them all.
I did not expect that to come out of you, buddy. Great job. Aaron, what do you think your best quality as a dad is?
I definitely say random acts of unplanned fun. I really feel like I feel like it's part of my job to teach my kids that the best things in life can be purchased and can't always be planned. And I feel like if I can create that kind of atmosphere, that I'm doing my job.
That's good. Very good. Matt, what do you think? What do you bring to the table?
When we view men, we see them as providers and protectors, and we almost expect men to be perfect in that sense. But when I thought of this question, I thought of a quote that I read once by William Booth that says, "The greatness of a man's power is the measure of his surrender." And we don't often see surrender as a strength. But what I get from that is that the more I can surrender to God my weaknesses or my failures, I think the more He's going to be able to mold me and shape me into the father and the husband and the man that He has called me to be. And so I wouldn't say that's a strength that I have. I would say that's a strength that I'm continually working towards, that I'm striving for. It's just to be willing to surrender to Him my faults and failures.
I wasn't here for the girls' conversation, but did they clap as much for the girls as they did? Good job, guys. I'm not saying everything's a competition, but everything's a competition. Chris, what do you think your greatest strength as a dad is?
Well, good job, Pat. That was good. I like that. I think my greatest strength is I'm an encourager. I encourage a lot. Not in a bad way, but I push my kids to the limit. You know, like to live fully. I'm also like Aaron. I'm a kid inside. My wife doesn't have 4 kids; she has 5. She once told me that it was a bigger mess when I'm around than when I'm not. So. Anyway, but I think it's great for my kids. All my kids are different, obviously, but when I can adapt to every kid, and I think that is one of my biggest strengths. I've been guys from work been telling me that, and I think with my kids, because like I said, they play different, they love different things, and I can adapt.
You guys both, all three of your answers have been so good. Justin already answered this one, right? Yep, Alfred. What's your biggest strength? I mean, you're at a different place, so maybe you can apply to grandchildren if you would like or whatever, but what do you say your greatest strength is?
My probably greatest strength would be never give up. I encourage my kids to never give up and to you know, do good. And I would say I'm an encourager. I would say my greatest strength. And I'm going to transfer that to my grandkids when I get a chance.
Alfred and Rachel, you know, they lived in Bucktush for a period of time, but they live in Rogersville right now. They lived in Rogersville before that. And Justin will know, and Jason's here, and that they would drive their kids to church 4 or 5 times a week. Through the rain and the sleet and the snow. And they live their life that, God, I will get my kids into your presence. And you do the rest. I don't know if it's true, but there's times that Alfred and Rachel showed up for church from Rogersville, and church was canceled. You just couldn't even get to them quick enough to get them to stop getting here. That's good. Anybody? That's everybody. What has God revealed to you? Let's start with the newest dad, and then we'll go to the most experienced dad. What's one thing that God has revealed to you about himself through being a father?
I haven't been a father for very long, but we have gone through quite a bit. When I was 5 weeks old, we were coming here, we got in a car accident. Pretty big one. And through that experience, I just remember being so ashamed and angry at myself. I was driving. But that specific night when I'm praying and just thanking God, first of all, that the only cargo that was of value walked away without a scratch. And so, through that one experience, God revealed to me, one, that I could trust him, that he was going to protect me and my family, and he was going to protect what mattered. And secondly, he revealed to me that even when I fail, even when I make a mistake, that he's there to pick me up, that he's got my back, and I can always have confidence that he's there for me.
Alfred, what has God revealed to you about him through you being a dad?
It's different things. About being a dad, God revealed to me that I'm responsible for those children. Like I gotta do my best, and I have to learn to let go when it's time to let go. And it's even when they're all grown up and married, and I have to keep praying and trusting God, because 2 of my boys are truck drivers, and it's not too bad in the summer when it's nice and dry, but in the winter it's not. So I pray more for them in the winter. It's not really right, but I adjust.
That's good. Chris, what is one thing God's revealed to you about being a dad?
A couple of things, but one of the biggest thing he reveals how much he loves us. It says in the Bible that he loves my children more than I do. I can't understand that. No, but like the love you have for your children are, can't explain it. And another thing he showed me is patience. How many times I say no to my kids, and I still love them at the end of the day, right? And I think God is doing the same thing with us. We keep trying and we fail, and He's right there. He says no, but we're ignoring His no, and then we're saying sorry, and He's like, come here. So.
That's good. It's good. What is one thing, I'll ask you all this really quickly, what's one thing that you would really like to do better as a dad? So that's a bit of a hard question. So what's one thing that you would like to do better as a father? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Sometimes I hear Dad say that. So he says that. I heard him a few times, and I'm a lot like him, and I'm probably the most like him. I answer the phone. They think he said Alfred. No, it's Justin. Ooh, he's kind of freaky. But I hear him say when we were young, we never noticed. I never noticed because probably Jason never noticed either. We were young, and he always says he wish he would have had more patience with us, and I'm a lot like him. So patience is sometimes very low, and I pray a lot that he would give me more patience with the kids, so I could teach them more and they could learn more. Yeah, basically.
The tricky thing about praying for patience is we're hoping He'll give us patience, but opportunity usually comes for us to just have more patience. So that's a dangerous prayer. We say, God, give me patience, and He says, no, but here's a traffic jam. Maybe you'll learn it here.
It's not easy.
No. What's something, Chris, that you're like, if I could do this one thing?
I honestly, I go back to what Pat said, surrender. I want my kids to see how I crave Jesus all the time. I want them to see that's all I want in my life, because without Him I'm nothing. So yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff that's not perfect in my life, and I'm trying hard, but I think surrendering and craving Jesus more than anything would take care of a bunch of my failures.
Your answer almost the same way.
Give it.
When you ask that question, that's my first thought is, like when Renee was born, this is a new season in our lives, and you get so focused and caught up on the natural things, making sure she's fed. Obviously, she needs to be fed, and diaper changed, and what's up with those black tar poopy diapers? Anyways, but your mind goes everywhere, but it's very easy to put Jesus on the back burner. It's very easy just to focus on that, and I don't want to do that. I want to be the spiritual leader in our household that God has called me to be. And so I don't want to lose focus of that. I want to keep my eyes on Jesus, even though it's extremely busy and extremely, your focus is going anywhere and everywhere, but my ultimate focus needs to be on Jesus through it all.
Okay. Aaron?
What they said. No, really, I thought that was just really good. I mean, I was going to say work less, but it's all for the same reasons. To have your priorities right so that you're focusing on Jesus and you're focusing on what needs to be done as opposed to busyness of life.
If we could have all the dads in the room, dads, stepdads, foster dads, if you accidentally were a dad, it doesn't matter. Stand up if you are a dad, everyone in the room. Don't be shy. All right, so we're going to do a game. Last dad standing wins a prize. If you are wearing no socks, sit down. If you are wearing shorts, sit down. If you wore a jacket to church, sit down. Well, that's good. One person. All right. If you are here without any children present, sit down. It's not your fault because your kids are probably growing. Sorry, that was a bad one. If you are wearing jeans, sit down. Three left. If you are wearing more than one shirt, sit down. If you have glasses on your person anywhere, sit down. If you are wearing black socks, sit down. Elmo. Elmo's going to win a prize, but the person with the prize isn't here, but we won't forget it. They're cooking your lunch. All right. This is for any dad who would like to answer. What is your favorite scripture verse and why? Go ahead, Chris.
When I got that question, Troy, it was a question, I looked it up. I wasn't sure to what to choose because I have a whole bunch, but one kept coming to mind, and I read it this week, and I think that's the best one for raising my children, I guess, because we're dead. So 1 John 3:18, it says, "Little children," now I'm not sure if I'm going to have it right, but I'm going to have it close. It says, "Let's show our love through action and truth." Somewhere in that those lines. And I'm a big believer in walk the walk, talk the talk. Actions speak bigger than words. If I say something to my children, I need to act it out too. Because if I don't, then I'm a hypocrite. And so that's the verse.
Good. Anybody else?
My favorite verse is Luke 9:23, and it's if anyone is to be my disciple, he must. I'm trying to remember here. If anyone is to become my disciple, he must deny himself and pick up his cross daily. For what good is it to gain the whole world, yet lose or forfeit your very self? And I feel like that's a really good one. As a dad, we're talking about the surrender, and that whole piece is really huge. And but remembering that like there's something that's so good that's at stake, which is the very self that God created us to be. And as a father, it's who your family is to be, how you're supposed to contribute to your family. And a lot of times you have to deny your own values or priorities or things you might think are important, but it's totally worth it. Because what good is it to gain the whole world and yet lose and forfeit your very self? So it's a really encouraging one, but also super challenging. It's my favorite.
It's, Pat alluded to it, you're alluding to it. One of the things that parents do, I think dads do it, moms do it as well, is often we surrender ourselves totally, but we do it to the wrong thing. And so what we do is we surrender ourselves and we give everything to being a parent. And in theory that sounds good, but really we need to surrender everything to Jesus. And He will help us to be the best parent that we can be. But God has to always be first. And that's this constant dying every day. And I think, not to put down dads because you guys are doing a great job, is I think men in general, we tend to be a little more selfish. And so dying is maybe a little more difficult. And that was really good. Anybody else?
But Philippians 4:13 is, I can do all things through Christ. He is my strength because I tried it, I couldn't. I tried stuff, and when you get in dark valleys there, you gotta have God's strength. You can't do it on your own. This one, you can try. I wouldn't recommend it.
Amen.
When you asked this question, I almost went to Philippians 4.
Yeah.
I did. This was actually tough to answer. How do you narrow down the Bible to one, or different seasons of life, different scriptures, hold true so much through that season. But the one scripture for me that I guess I've held on to for a long time is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." So it's so true for me because I have such a hard time with it. I'm very logical, analytical, and I go with my gut or my knowledge. I try to do it on my own. And so it's very difficult for me to surrender that to God and say, I'm trusting you to somehow get us back to mountain. And He did.
Yes, He did. That's good. This is a question for all the dads. If you could have one prayer and you knew this prayer would be answered, one prayer for your kids, what would it be? Just one.
Just that my boys would give their lives to Jesus Christ. That's it. That's the one. That's it.
Aaron's like, I'm going first before these other
We
yahoos.
can all agree with that. My first thought was physical health. Like, you want your children to be healthy, but what's more important than physical health is their spiritual health. So, I mean, that she would find Jesus in her walk through life and surrender her life to Him. We can't do it for them. We can help them and hold their hand along the way, but they have to do it on their own. That would be the one prayer that I would surely want to be answered.
Well, obviously, saying you want them to serve Jesus, and that's your most important prayer. But there's something else that I want my kids to be, and that's to have integrity, all of them. Integrity is it's a big word, and it's hard to be fully like. I'm talking about experience, but integrity is hard because when you're by yourself, that's when. But I want them to be truthful, honest, integrity.
I would define integrity by doing what is right, when everyone else is doing what is wrong, when no one is watching. Because anyone can do the right thing when everyone's watching. We all can do it. But to want our kids to do the right thing when no one is watching? Justin.
Hey, it's funny that the first thing that came on my mind is first thing that came up when we started going up with Kelsey there. We used to go to Boom Road Church, and there's a song there, Jesus on the Main Line, and my prayer would be that they would keep Jesus on the main line.
The same, yeah. Our focus as dads is we want to see our kids in church, not only in church, but in God's presence, and seeking Him and trusting Him. It's our main, as dads, it has to be the main goal to get them to church and to get them to heaven. It's not, it's kind of a no-brainer for.
Being in church is one thing. That's not really what you guys are talking about. Because you can be in church and not be in Christ. And that's what we're talking about this morning. These 5 dads, 6 if I count myself, I don't think there's anything more important than our kids being in Christ. I have a question. Alfred. Last question. Be honest. Because everyone's dying to know. What was it like being Justin's dad?
You can tell I got no hair left. I had a stroke. That's a joke, not him.
Go home! We're done! Get up here!
He tries so hard. He's got a good heart. He's got a really good heart. Like, he's generous. Like, I couldn't ask for a more generous. But Jason's generous. They're all generous. We taught him that.
You did. Sure did.
Give and help people. But now we're blessed. We have 3 children.
What's the best thing about being Jason's dad?
Hard to tell. You don't talk too much him. He'll help you anytime. He'll go out of his way to help people, and he's got a good heart. He loves, like, I don't know if he's drawn to people in trouble, and he wants to help all the time, and that's a great gift. I'm not that good. I'm not that good. I taught him some, but I think he got extra.
Justin, what's the best thing about being your boy's dad?
I had a lot of thoughts on this, and the best thing, if I look on a daily basis, is when I walk in the door, and it's like they've never seen me for the longest time, and you get that first hug and that first kiss. There's nothing in this world really that can describe that. And I can also relate that to myself, because I remember when Dad was going to work and when he came in the door, we were just as happy to see him. Then my boys are happy to see me, because it's pretty amazing.
We don't have time for you to go through each kid. Because I've got quite a few there, but what's the best thing? What's the best thing? Go quickly, each kid.
Okay.
Do you want me to name them for you?
Okay. So, Logan, his imagination is of the wall. So I love being in his stories. I'm always part of his stories. We were doing stuff, and so that's the Logan. Lexi, she's my little princess. She's always, every time she's getting dressed or if she has a ponytail made or something, she runs right at me and she says nothing. She just waits for the reaction. It's fine. And if I don't see her, she'll tap me. She's too dead. That's Lexi. Gracie, challenging. Like she's more like me than anyone else. But she's a lot of fun though. She loves to cuddle. She loves to, but she doesn't cuddle for long. When she wants to,
You better take it. Wonder where she gets that.
my wife. And Landon, honestly, he's still young, so his personality is not fully. We don't, but he's a funny baby. But honestly, this is my favorite part about Landon. Is the most comfortable baby we've ever had. Just because we're so comfortable now. Like the first one, you know how it is. Then the second one, it's like, third one, you're outnumbered, you're panicking. And then the fourth one, you're like, we're enjoying it more.
What's another lentil in the pot, eh? See what I did there? Pat, best thing about being Renell's dad.
Yeah, being her dad, it's who, until you experience it, like, you can't grasp how much joy it brings to your heart to make a baby laugh. I couldn't believe it, like how full my heart was when she laughs or interacts and smiles with you. So, we have a baby. I don't know what else to say about her character. She's like her mom. I think she's gonna be like her mom. Trying to hold her still, on your lap, trying to land a plane or going up. We flew here, and she's in Brandage. She can't sit still. She's kind of like her mom. But she just brings so much joy to our heart. I guess. It brings it transforms a marriage, I think, in a very I think it's Penny who drew a drawing that we have in Renee's room that says children are not a distraction from more important things. They are the most important thing. So it's, experiencing that it adds so much joy and life into our lives.
Good.
I think the best thing about being Griffin and Clem's dad is, well, they're both really fun boys. They've got a real zest for life. But from a selfish point of view, I feel like how I talked about, sometimes being a dad's challenging, or we've been talking about it. And what's really neat about being a dad, and I think that this isn't just restricted to people that are fathers, or it's the reminder of who every single one of our fathers is. Because, like Chris was saying, when I see them, it's just the reminder that life is beautiful. Like, God is. I mean, these kids are so cool, right? And you love them that much, and He loves every single one of us more than that. And that fact is it's like a lifeline. Because sometimes you feel I don't have enough energy for my boys. I come in and I'm like, geez, I have to be a dinosaur for the next hour. And I'm not in the mood to be a dinosaur for Clem. But that's what you gotta do with Clem, because he is one. So I sit there and I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And I walk in there and he wants to play dinosaurs, and then you look at him and you realize this is so cool. This kid is so incredible. And I think it's the same thing in the things that we love in life. Life is tough, but then you get these things that are God loves us, and He gave us something so cool, and that gives me the energy that I need to get through an hour of playing with the dinosaur. It's been 2.5 years. No sign of slowing down.
those of you who don't know, the reason why Aaron's so tired is because they're farmers. So they works outside all day and all night, but except for the hour when you're a dinosaur. So I kind of skipped over, Justin, like, so you want to say something about, specific about each of the boys, or I didn't want to make you miss out on it. What's the best thing about being Owen's dad?
They're night and day. Really, really. Owen is, he's more, he's more on the soft side, and you can, not as much now, but you can cuddle with him more, and he's just fun to be around. He's kind of a mini adult. He's pretty cool. And Easton, if I could describe him in one word, firecracker.
All right, I thought he said fart racker. And I was like, what is that? What, firecracker?
But Easton, I talked to my mom quite a bit, and she tells me he's just like you. That's you. So
God is so good.
But he's fun. He's fun. He also likes to be a dinosaur.
Hey, you should send him over to their place.
But it's amazing how different they are, but at the same time they're both so the same. They're the same in one way, but they're so different. But it's fun. It's really fun.
Just want all the dads that are up here to know that you don't have the kids that you've created by accident. That God has a call on all of your lives to be their dad. And we're probably counting on you, Pat, to add to this number of children. Or Alfred, maybe. Yeah. No, Alfred, maybe.
No.
But here's the truth. I have one prayer. We're just going to watch a video in closing. And then we're going to pray for the dads. And every dad here, there's a gift for you on the window. It's not big, but take it. Go for a drive. Grab a coffee or a drink at Tim Hortons. And just spend a few minutes renewing the call that God has placed in your heart. But if I had one prayer for each dad in this room, and for every dad here, it would be that God would mold us into His image. Chris has a quote he'd like to share.
This is just encourage everyone. This is the quote I always go to back. It says, your struggle isn't rooted in the strength of temptation around you, but more in your distance from God that takes away your strength to flee these temptations. So read your Bible every day, pray every day.
So I have a video, and in this video it's basically a prayer that God would mold each man in this room into the man of God that He would want them to be.
They that I love my children and wife. Most of all, I hope they say I love Jesus more than life. And when I'm laid to rest, life's journey I have trod, I hope my children will say of me, God was a man of God. Dad was a man of God. Oh, to be a man of God, nothing more and nothing less. It's not what I did or did not do, but why I did it and for who. I hope that they will remember me simply as a man of God, simply as a man of God. They say of me, my words were gentle and kind. Most of all, I hope to leave a life of truth behind. So when I'm laid to rest, life's journey I have trod, I hope they say of me, here lies a man of God. Here lies a man of God. Oh, to be a man of God, nothing more and nothing less. It's not what I did not do, but why I did it and for who. I hope that they will remember me simply as a man of God, simply as a man of God, simply as a man of God.
Dear God, I thank you for every man in this room, every father, every role model, every mentor, every friend, that our number one prayer would be that we would be the men of God that you have called us to be. And that relationship would shape every relationship that we have. May that be our prayer. God, I thank you for these men here today. Thank you for every man in this room. In your name. Amen. Just in closing, I want to welcome Paul and Florence back from Suffering for Jesus in Florida. There's hot dogs. The worship team's going to come play one more song just as we're leaving. Please, everybody, stay.